Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this October 15th, 2024 meeting of the Gallatin City Council. It is 6:01 p.m., and we'll call the meeting to order. We're going to begin, like we do each of our meetings, with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, Dr. Pastor Councilman Allison is going to offer our invocation, and Councilman Juvance is going to lead us in the pledge. If you would stand with me, please.
Would you please join me in prayer? God, we thank you for your providence, and this change of season that we feel in the weather reminds us that we're under your hand, and we will come and we will go, but you remain. So help us to make decisions that will be beneficial for all the people. We pray that our city would continue to walk in the character of our tradition that would bring you glory. We commit this meeting to you. In Christ Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ms. Kittrell. If you would call the roll for us, please, this evening.
Vice Mayor Love.
Here.
Councilman Allison.
Here.
Councilman Carter.
Present.
Councilman Fan.
Here.
Councilman Fennell.
Here.
Councilman Hayes. And Councilman Juvance. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. There are no minutes this evening for your consideration. We now will have public recognition on agenda-related items. If you're not used to being here for a council meeting, we have public recognition on agenda-related items at the front of the meeting, and then at the end of the meeting, we have public recognition on non-agenda-related items. You can speak at any time. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. We need your name and your address for the public record, and I will remind you that this evening there are 2 public hearings. The first is for the rezoning of a 3.62-acre lot north of Hartsville Pike and east of Enoch Way. And then the second is for the rezoning of a 3.69-acre lot from commercial services to mixed use and commercial general to the CG commercial, to the CG Commercial General District, north of Tulip Poplar, west of Warwick Road. So if you're interested in either of those 2 items, you may want to wait and speak during the public hearing. If not, we will move on now with public recognition on agenda-related items, and you're welcome to come to the podium.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Todd Alexander, 217 Strange Circle. Don't even need to set your timer, Mayor. It's going to be short. I'm looking at items 10 and 11 on the agenda tonight. Those are 2 items that have been of great interest to the residents in that area, especially item 11, the Kirkpatrick project in District 2, where I reside. And if I do my math right, since we won't have a meeting on the 29th, public hearing would be November 5th, election night. That doesn't seem fair to the residents. I don't know what can be done. I don't know if you can move a public hearing to a work session or just push it back 2 weeks, but I'm asking that be looked at just for those residents there. I would rather have them voting, and I know this is something they would probably want to come speak at, so I just ask you to consider that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening. Lauren Hunter, 1030 Brighton Lane in Gallatin. I want to address item number 10 on the agenda, the Twin Ponds development. My property is immediately south of that development as it's being proposed. My property adjoins it. I don't have an issue with development in general, but and I'm quite pleased to see that what's being proposed is single-family homes as opposed to another apartment complex. One of the attractions we all know of Gallatin is that it's rural, and yet it has the added benefit of being close to Nashville, so we get the best of both worlds. excuse me, I don't like public speaking. Part of my hope and expectation of this council is that we ensure that any future development is well thought out and appropriate for the area, and in part to maintain that rural feeling that we all love about Gallatin. In doing so, this council would be remiss if they approved the Twin Ponds development as it's proposed, with homes packed in like sardines on lots that are far too small. I believe the sentiment is shared by my neighbor homeowners as well as the homeowners of Sugar Tree Lane, which I think many of them are here tonight. I encourage you to personally come out and look at the properties and see the development before you make any decisions. I believe that in order to keep the rural feel of the area as well as not negatively impact my neighborhood, which is St. Blaise Retreat, the minimum lot size should be 1/3 to 1/2 acre and possibly even upwards of 1 to 2 acre estate properties along the perimeter. But again, the minimum I think should be 1/3 to 1/2 acre lots. Per the development requirements, I believe all homes should also have that brick facade that they've expressed that they would have, as well as I think all the homes should have side entry garages rather than just those on the west side of the property. Now as to how this development affects my property specifically, as I mentioned, my property is on the immediate south side of the development. We share property lines. When I purchased my lot to build on, I knew that the property was zoned for agriculture, and that in that property, the very far end of the south part of the property was all trees with a creek running through it. That was really a major factor when I purchased my home. I like looking out my back, looking at the trees, hearing the trees, the wind, the animals, all of that. As it was requested last week at the Planning Committee, I would hope that this committee would do whatever they can to preserve the heritage trees that are back there, and not just allow a developer to come in and clear cut trees that are possibly upwards of 80 feet tall or more, possibly even up to 100 years old, just for the sake of make it easy to put a road through. In addition, I would hope that the creek that runs through that property would be preserved in some fashion. I understood when I purchased over 6 years ago, or almost 6 years ago, that Gallatin had a statute that would preserve the trees and also preserve the waterways. If they don't, I hope you guys would consider putting one in place. The city has not been clear of where they intend to put the Bison Trail extension through that, but by the pictures that were presented last week at the planning meeting, the road will go right through those trees, and if I know how developers work, and I've seen it happen many times, they'll just go in and they'll clear cut the trees to make it easy for them, and then per the plans that were presented last week, they'll just put a small buffer of trees along the property line, a buffer of maybe, I don't know, 20 feet, a tree every 12 feet or something like that. Not nearly enough for what's currently there. So right now, when I purchased my home, I like looking out at the trees. I can listen to see the trees, hear the birds, the animals, all that. If this is done the way that the way the development looks like it's being proposed to me, is that when they go in and they clear cut that to put the road through, instead of looking at the trees and having privacy and hearing nature, I'll get to look at a road and hear traffic noise, which will then immediately decrease the value of my home and of all my neighbors, because that's not what it was when we bought. So anything less than leaving as much as you can there to put the road through is an immediate detriment to the homeowners that are currently there. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak? Time is now.
Hi, my name is Julie Bull. I live at 1049 North Sugar Tree Lane. And I'm here regarding the Twin Ponds subdivision. I kind of represent Sugar Tree Estates. We've all been talking together, and we were just asking you to vote no on the rezoning of the R10. We feel that this development is not compatible with the surrounding areas. This will change the character of this area. I looked under the Gallatin government city page under Facebook, and as I quote, it said, "There's something unexpected about Gallatin, an energetic small city set in the idyllic countryside." So why are we developing so much of our countryside? We would hope that before a rezoning is passed, that a study of this impact of the environment, the wildlife, the traffic, especially the noise, the roads, and our schools be done. The infrastructure should be in place first. We believe that if this property is going to be developed, we would like to have larger lot size, a bigger buffer, and that we share a lot of the qualities of the surrounding areas, keeping the characteristics of this area. As a city council that represent the people, you are elected to represent the people of Gallatin, and the perception is that you just want to build and not hear what the people have to say. The infrastructure is not ready for this in this direction. Once again, I would like to ask you to vote no in this rezoning. Thank you for your time. I'm also here for the residents of Sugar Tree Estates, and we have 100%, we have signed a petition, and I'm just going to read it to you. It says, "We, the residents of Sugar Tree Estates, Gallatin, Tennessee, put forth this petition for consideration to the Gallatin City Planning Commission. We ask that the stub or right-of-way on North Sugar Tree Lane that backs up to the proposed Twin Pond subdivision is permanently closed. Sugar Tree Estate has existed as a neighborhood around 40 years with no pass-through traffic. Our neighborhood is unique to the area with large lots and a farm and a park-like setting. There is limited traffic, and this creates a safe feeling among our neighbors. If a road is extended into our neighborhood, the traffic will destroy the whole reason why people choose to live here. Sugar Tree Estates is an option for people who want to move to Gallatin and live in a beautiful area with large lots and rural settings. Please consider this request, as the quality of life on Sugar Tree Lane will suffer immeasurably with increased outside traffic from the development, which could easily be handled by the Bison Trail and Long Hollow Pike. Do not destroy this neighborhood. It would not be a benefit of any of the residents of Sugar Tree, but in fact would be an intrusion." And do y'all want this?
Is that the only one you got?
There's 25 homes, and some people signed as a couple, so, but it was 100%. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak this evening?
James Mitchell, I live on Sugar Tree Lane, and one of my concerns is the size of the lots for the new development and everything. My question is to the council and the mayor, why are we building so many apartment complexes, so many condominiums in these small tar paper shacks in ruining Gallatin? Are we trying to turn Gallatin into Nashville? Because that's what they're doing. I mean, it's just ruining the value of everybody's property and downgrading the whole city of Gallatin. Why can't we build some higher grade homes? Can y'all tell me anywhere where they're building higher grade homes in Gallatin besides the packer boxes they're doing now, everywhere?
It's a public comment period. It's not a Q&A. I'm sorry.
Okay. And also, we talked last time on the easement cutting through from the new property to Sugar Tree. And you said yourself, Mayor, says, why are we having that little offset put in if it can never be put through? And Mr. Rose, he said it would never be able to go through, but now we're hearing that it's when it's gonna go through, tying into Sugar Tree Lane. And I've talked with the county, and the county don't want it. They said petition to do away with the easement. Says we can do that, but I don't know how it can be done. But the city cannot infringe onto the county, way I'm understanding, to put that road in without the owners on each side of the easement unless they agree to it and sign off on it. But we just would like to see that little offset that y'all are trying to put in, do away with that. I mean, you said yourself it's not necessary, and that would just save money and for the city. Wouldn't have to maintain it or anything. So that's just something to consider. And also, I wish y'all would consider on what she was just talking about, the size of the lots and everything. Thank you.
If there's anyone else that wishes to speak, now's your time. Okay, public comment on agenda-related items is closed. And while it's not a Q&A time, we have the option to answer things after the public comment is closed. And I would reiterate, as I think was said clearly, that there are not plans in this to connect to Sugar Tree. There are not plans in this to connect to Sugar Tree. And so, when rumors bubble up, they bubble up. Another thing that I would ask just of everybody throughout the city, I always think about the people who are so proud to have just bought their new home, wherever it may be, and then someone else is speaking negatively about the size or the quality or the location of it. And I would just ask that we try and be sensitive to, everybody's home is their castle, and I think it would be, I can remember 23-year-old in Hendersonville buying my first townhome, and it meant a lot to me, and it would have hurt my feelings if somebody said that it was causing their property values to go down, because I don't think anybody's property values have gone down as proven by the last property assessment, right? So anyway, just that thought at this point. I am going to move on now to Mayor's comments. A couple of things that I do want to share with you coming up soon. First, I want to say a huge congratulations to Chad Hall, who organized the Stoll event this past weekend. It was really incredible. They had a great crowd, grew from last year. That's the short takeoff and landing event that happened at the airport. And a lot of people came to town to watch that happen, and they did a great job with it. And of course, they got especially wonderful weather, which helped. Coming up this week, the Gallatin Police Department had their Shop with the Cop tournament yesterday, but coming up on the 17th is a second golf tournament, and this one's really important because it is to honor the memory of Charlie Harris, our Gallatin investigator who just passed away, to benefit his family. So if you'd like to play in that, you can reach out to the police department. They certainly would welcome your sponsorships or any donations that will support that family. Coming up on the 18th, Mr. Brown's birthday. On the 19th, the Gallatin Sertoma Club is having their pancake breakfast. It's going to be at Longhorn Steakhouse. It's from 7:30 till 10:30. There's also, and this only happens once a year, but it's a household hazardous waste collection event. Happens at Moss Wright Visitor Center, which is in Goodlettsville, and that's where you can drop off those items that you can't take to recycling, you can't put in your garbage can, and you can't take to the Resource Authority. So if you have hazardous waste that you need to dispose of, here's your one opportunity this year. Also on Saturday is the Paws and Pumpkins at Sumner County Animal Control. On the 21st is Rosemary Bates' birthday, and the 2024 United Way of Sumner County Fall Classic Golf Scramble. Lots of golf events this time of year. On the 23rd, this is internal, but still of information, particularly to this council. The City of Gallatin will be having its Benefits and Wellness Fair. And then on the 24th is the third annual Battle of the Badges happening at Liberty Creek High School. So I think that concludes the events for today and can move us on to the regular agenda. And the first item is a public hearing on ordinance 02409-50. And I invite Vice Mayor Love to introduce that.
Oops, thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning a 3.62 plus or minus acre lot from the A Agricultural Residential Zone District to the R15 Medium Density Residential Zone District, located north of Hartsville Pike and east of Enoch Way, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This is a public hearing.
The public hearing is now open. If you'd like to speak to this, you may come forward to the podium. Seeing no one, public hearing on ordinance 02409-50 is closed. Item 2 is public hearing on ordinance 02409-51. Councilman Juvance to introduce.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning a 3.69 plus or minus acre lot from the CS Commercial Services District, MU Mixed Use District, and CG Commercial General District to the CG Commercial General District located north of Tulip Poplar Drive and west of Warwick Road, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinance, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And this is a public hearing.
Okay, public hearing is now open. If you'd like to speak to it, you may come forward. Seeing no one, public hearing on ordinance 02409-51 is closed. Item number 3 is second reading on ordinance 02409-53. Councilman Fennell.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance amending Gallatin Municipal Code, Chapter 5, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 3, Building Standards. Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Fennell, second by Councilman Juvance. Opening the floor for any questions or comments. Seeing none, all in favor of voting second reading on ordinance 02409-53, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Does pass unanimously. Item 4 is first reading on ordinance 02410-54. Councilman Juvance.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an ordinance appropriating $182,000 from the Department of Justice for the Beyond Discretionary Community Project Grant, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Juvance, second by Councilman Carter. Any questions or discussion? It's first reading on ordinance 02410-54. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Passes first reading unanimously. Item 5 is first reading on ordinance 02410-55. Councilman Allison.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance amending the Municipal Code, City of Gallatin, Tennessee, Part 2, Chapter 2, Article 2, Division 3, Section 2154, to amend development review fees and other planning department fees. Wrong one, right? I'm
It's
sorry.
number 5.
Forgive me. Let me start over. Ordinance amending Article 6, Section 2A of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee Charter as established in Chapter 67 of the Private Acts of 1953, and as amended thereafter to delete the requirement that appointed officers shall devote all of their time to their respective offices. So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Allison, second by Councilman Fennell. Opening the floor for any questions or any discussion. Councilman Juvance.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to vote no for that because I think department head should be put all their time to their department. I don't think we should let them get outside employment, and I don't think it's a good thing. We should clean up what needed in the code, but I don't see why we would change the charter, and I would like to know why we're doing it. I don't think, again, department head have enough work. They don't need to go again outside employment. So I will be voting no.
Comments, questions?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. I appreciate Pascal Javance's concern about retaining employees, and I feel like this does give an opportunity for talented employees to make additional income that is safeguarded by approval from the attorney, our city attorney, and from the mayor. And obviously, the mayor's not going to approve anything that takes away from taxpayers. You're going to make sure that all of our employees put in their required time. And I think that if we want to retain talented people, we need to allow them to use their expertise in areas such as lectures, areas such as teaching at Ball State or other institutions. I know myself, I have the opportunity to teach at Union University and supplement some of my income, and that's allowed our church to retain me. And so these are considerations why I think that this is good. And obviously, if I understand correctly, it's simply cleaning up language. So that may, I think that's.
Well, the cleaning up of the language does open the door for
Okay.
us to be able to do that.
Okay, so that's my opinion. That's why I plan to vote.
Thank you. I also see it as an opportunity to potentially recruit employees, so that's why I find it compelling as well. So,
Makes good sense.
anyone else? This is first reading on ordinance 02410-55. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no.
No.
Passes 6-1. Item number 6 is first reading on ordinance 02410-56. Councilman Fennell.
This is an ordinance amending the Municipal Code, City of Gallatin, Tennessee, Part 2, Chapter 2, Article 2, Division 3, Section 2-154 to amend the development review fees and other planning department fees, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fennell, second by Vice Mayor Love. Any questions, any discussion? Councilman Juvance?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the planner to take that initiative. That should have been done years ago, but the only stuff I would like to see is the fee on the dwelling go a little higher. That would make a little more sense on the PMDP side, because we charge a minimum plus per dwelling. So I would like to see there is an idea behind if we could go a little higher than, I think it's $10 per dwelling.
Can I just ask what that was again? Which fee?
Let me give it to you again. The master development plan rezoning,
Yeah, thank you.
where it's base plus square foot plus unit. So I would like to see if we could go a little higher on the fee per dwelling, because I think $10 is probably not enough.
Anyone else with comments or questions? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 02410-56. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes unanimously. Item 7 is first reading on ordinance 02410-59. Councilman Hayes.
Now, this is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee, approving a preliminary master development plan for Hunt Club retail development on a 6.77-acre parcel located south of Nashville Pike and west of Hunt Club Boulevard, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, a second by Councilman Fennell. This was an item where I stepped out last week, and you all, when Mr. Tuttle was giving his presentation earlier in the meeting, you didn't ever let him get to this part. And so I think that we need to hear from Mr. Tuttle to talk about the way that he figured the dollar figure to do the signal, and then, of course, what you've done now with the other signal ask of him you've had.
I thought we were going to do that at our next committee meeting, but I could be wrong. But
Well, but
we're going to do that at the committee meeting? Because I don't know if he's got all the
Okay.
figures. Yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
we discussed it.
All right, so
Next
this is first reading, so there is some time, but I do think that there was some votes made without complete information. But anyway, so this is first reading. Any other questions, comments on this? No, you're not. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to, I know it's a first reading, but I would like to postpone it until we actually have the real numbers, because of what I heard last week, that engineering came with a number for the light and the developer refused, and we went to a number lower than what you guys proposed initially. So I think if engineering come with a number, that the number we should go with, and if the developer doesn't want to pay, it doesn't develop. But so we talk about having to the next committee meeting to hear about engineering. So I would like to postpone, make a motion to postpone until the next council, until we have the numbers from engineering.
I think that was a motion to,
Postpone to the next council meeting.
second. Okay, motion dies for lack of a second, which takes us back to the initial first reading. Are there other questions or comments on it?
I don't see a problem, because Nick told us he would have it by the next committee meeting. I don't see a problem passing on first.
That'll be on the work session, and then this second reading would follow that. I understand. Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 02410-59. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Passes 6-1 on first reading. Item 8 is first reading on ordinance 02410-60. Councilman Carter.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning a 0.26 plus or minus acre parcel from the CG Commercial General Zone District to the R6 High Density Residential Zone District located north of Page Street and west of North Council Avenue, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Carter, second by Councilman Juvance. Questions, discussion? This is first reading on ordinance 02410-60. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes unanimously. Item 9 is first reading on ordinance 02410-61. Councilman Carter.
Thank you. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning a 0.53 plus or minus acre parcel from the CC Core Commercial District to the PGC Plain General Commercial District with a preliminary master development plan for North Lake Automotive located north of West Main Street and east of West Broadway, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Carter, second by Councilman Juvance. Any discussion, any questions? All right, this is first reading on ordinance 02410-61. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Does pass first reading unanimously. Item number 10 is first reading on ordinance 02410-62. Councilman Hayes.
Yeah, this is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee, rezoning 131.64 acres from the Agricultural Residential District to R10 PRD Medium Density Residential Plan, Residential Development District with a preliminary master development plan for Twin Ponds subdivision located south of Long Pike, west of St. Blaise Road, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilman Fan. Opening the floor for discussion. Go ahead.
I've kind of talked to the developer a little bit. I'm hoping, and they're willing to take a look at it, that they're going to kind of reduce the density a little bit more. So that's one thing I think that they're willing to work on a little bit between now and.
I mean, for those of you who live in Sugar Tree and obviously are fearful as to what this may be, I talked to the developer and I really queried about, what quality of development is this going to be? And I'm not going to, I also don't want to speak disparagingly about neighborhoods, but what they compared it to for me was very, very compelling. And I feel like it would be a very quality development. And then for the City of Gallatin and for the residents of Gallatin, this also connects us to the 65 acres of parkland. And if you've lived in Sugar Tree for a while, you'll know that we never connected through that neighborhood because the neighborhood didn't want it. But we do have 65 acres of land there that will be a great asset for our community once we can get access to it. And that is one of the things that the developers brought to the table in planning this potential development. I agree with Councilman Hayes. There's some things I think still to work through. And I'm glad to hear that you've talked to them and you feel like they're working on it. So,
I am too. That was my concern.
Councilman Allison.
Yeah, there's some things about this project that I'm pleased with, even though I'm listening to the concern of the citizens. I think the buffer zone, from my understanding, is going to keep the Sugar Tree Lane isolated. The question I have is the concern for the inset, the easement. Is there a way that is that necessary for the city to have that? I heard us say that it was so if Sugar Tree ever wanted to, we would be prepared to connect with them. But since that seems to be such a concern, I'm just not sure if there is an option to amend this.
I don't know what engineering's position on this might be, but my guess is that we require this every single place, and they're not going to be, even like the gentleman said, I brought it up last week, and then I realized I'm asking engineering to do something that You know, we always say we need to do everywhere because you never know what comes down the road in the next 30 years or 100 years or whatever. But
Would it be appropriate?
But they made the comment tonight, the county would have to connect to it. We can't just move into their neighborhood. So,
So it would be like a cost-saving measure for the city to have that in now, as opposed to,
I think it is our manual of best practices and providing for the future. And also, what you don't want to come happen is for somebody to build a house on that space, and then you can't connect through because there's a house, and that's happened in neighborhoods before.
yeah, it's happened in my neighborhood.
Yeah. And so,
Looking at the older plans. I would just say, as a place of discussion, I know that when we talked about Twin Eagles, we understood that now it's 50 and below, or even 30 and below houses that have to have, over 50 houses, there have to be two ways in, one way in, one way out.
but that is not a connection to Sugar Tree Estates that they're counting on. Absolutely not. No
Of course,
way.
and I guess that's the point I was trying to make. Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make, and so because of that, I just thought it was worth the discussion, that if that helps put the Sugar Tree citizens at rest a little more, that it was just worth me bringing that up, especially, unless there's a compelling reason. And what I'm hearing, it's just best
I
practices.
think engineering would articulate
Well,
better than
yeah, I mean, I think it would, I'm trying to just respond to citizens' comments. If
Well-
engineering's willing to just elaborate on, I mean, your explanation's been good.
But I actually think I probably caused a lot of the doubt and concern because, I've said at one point they may want to connect to the connector that goes through the park, or at one point in the future they may want to connect to the neighborhood. I mean, the same people aren't going to live there from 100 years from now, and there will be a signal at that intersection. So that could be something that somebody wants someday, but there's no plan at all right now for that to happen, and it would have to come from the county to connect, not from the city. So, but I don't know, Mr. Tuttle, if you feel like you want to elaborate. I don't want to put you on the spot. I hate doing that to y'all.
No problem. Nick Tuttle, city engineer. Connectivity is always something we're going to recommend. Our neighborhoods, they work better when connected. I know I understand the concerns of the Sugar Tree residents, and this is not actually making a connection to them. No, we're going to recommend connectivity. It reduces trips on our arterials. It provides for options for those citizens to get out another way. They are one of those neighborhoods that has one way in, one way out. I don't recall how many. I think she may have said 25.
Yeah, 25.
So it's not in the city limits of Gallatin, so it wouldn't be a violation of our codes and ordinances anyways, but there's not a violation of an ordinance there. But you want to have access, and I do think that it would provide some really nice connections for them, but I'm not living there, so I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue for them. What my point is just the connectivity. It does provide for those options and opportunities for people to go in different directions and not be stuck trying to turn off on Long Hollow Pike and wish they had a traffic signal.
There could be a queue that interferes and stuff.
to
but
get out
I think
there.
you'll probably recall when we first met, when they were, kind of exploring this, and I said, connection to Sugar Tree, not gonna fly. Yeah, because
Well,
I knew from the
honestly, I
beginning.
can't remember a time when we have proposed a connection that there hasn't been somebody to come up here and
That's
say
true,
they
too.
do not want this connection. Every single
Yeah.
neighborhood that we see that comes in, that's a proposal, and there have been many that have come back after the fact and said, we're
When
glad
you're
that
Windsong is my favorite
connection
example
is
because
there, and
everybody
homeowners
was upset about
association
that.
was upset that the connection wasn't open sooner. And I'm not saying that's going to be the case here. I don't think that it will, but there are plenty of examples of people being actually very happy after the fact, but there were plenty of those same folks that showed up at the city council meeting and said, we don't want it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'd like to continue my comments when anyone else is done hearing from him. from Mr. Tuttle. Thank you. No, I think both Mr. Tuttle and Mayor, thank you for your perspective and explanations. I'd feel more comfortable if the easement wasn't there because it's only 25 homes and the residents have been really clear. But I am very pleased that there is no connection, to Bison Trail, proposed Bison Trail. And some of this I'm repeating just so people can understand. I'm also very pleased with the buffer zones. I think those are really important. And I was able to talk to a representative of the developer, and they assured me that they want to, try to keep as many of those sycamore trees. There's not necessarily heritage trees of indigenous trees that we know of, but
Sycamore versus hackberry.
hackberry, yeah, maybe it's hackberry I meant to say.
No, we don't
Okay.
want those.
Okay, all right,
but
all right. So anyway, for all the reasons, that's why I plan to vote yes to this, is because I think those are all positives. The buffer zones will keep the new development isolated, and then it gives us some great opportunity for connectivity, not for Sugar Tree, but for other areas in the future. So,
Well, and there was a question by one of the St. Blaise Estates residents about the tree buffer and the road, and I can tell you that truly they're not there yet because engineering is going to have to help determine the path of that road and then some things to work out there. So I certainly do hear your concerns. I just don't know what we think we can do at this point or what they think they can do. But I agree that it would be nice to preserve as many as we can. So, other questions, comments? Councilman Juvance?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, we're talking about approving a development with so many unknowns. We don't have, actually, engineering just sent me a condensate study on traffic, but it doesn't show any impact. So we're talking about Longolo Park, dumping everything on Longolo Park. And the only other exit for traffic is going to be the Bison Trail extension, who's basically going to come on phase 6. I mean, everything is going to be built before the Bison Trail extension is going to be built. I mean, everything is going to dump on Longolo Park. I live on Longolo Park. I drive there. I drove to St. Blaise. I drive on these roads. Right now, the way it is, Longolo Park can take that. So I would like to see a real traffic study, and something is going to tell me what they're going to do for that traffic. My other concern, and I talked to fire about it, is the fire access lane. They talk about light concrete. My question is that we have a fire code. We have to meet the fire code. And one of the fire code requirements for fire access is that the road can support the load of fire apparatus weighing up to 75,000 pounds. I remember talking to a contractor when I was trying to redo my driveway with concrete, and the amount of concrete was needed to support 12,000 pounds was 6 inches. So I don't think concrete is the right solution for there. Another thing too, because I was looking at the fire code, and that's where I'm going to need Chief Beeman's going to look into that tomorrow. That looks like that exit road doesn't meet the code on distance. There is a part of a fire code who said that we have actually a requirement on distance between exits. So the distance on a straight line between both the main exit and the fire access only need to be more than half of the length of the maximum overall diagonal dimension of the property or area to be served. The length of the maximum overall diagonal, if I use the GIS, is 4,400 feet, and the distance between the entry was supposed to be, and the access lane is only 1,900 feet, so that the numbers don't work. Another issue I have is the turning radius from St. Blaise, because the way it's presented right now, I don't know how fire apparatus can turn in from St. Blaise to that road access. Another interesting thing I found when I went there is that there is a electric line there right in the middle. So that's going to have to be moved, and I don't see anything on the plan to move that. We were talking about the Bison Trail extension. At the session last week, the developer got surprised when got told he would have to pay for it. So I would like to know if they agreed to pay for it or not, because if they don't agree to pay for that, who's going to pay for it? So I would like to get that answer.
That's a condition of approval.
And again, Nick, I understand the stub out on Sugar Tree Lane, but what the point? Yeah, I know connection is a big deal, but we have Bison Trail right there. Why do we need another stub out to connect on a small development we can't get that kind of traffic to? So, yeah, that stub out, we should get rid of it to make everybody at ease. We heard, lots. I still think the lots are too small for what is around. I agree with comments were made by citizens that what's presented doesn't fit the area, but we went through that with Log 4, so we know where that's going to go. And when I look at the plan, there is a lot of natural ponds on that property, and we're building on top of natural ponds. So natural ponds were there for a reason. It's because there is stream on that property will go to the ponds, and we're building on top of it. So that's going to be interesting. So I would like to get rid of the stub out on Sugar Tree Lane, and we can make a condition that zone where the stub out was there stay as open space. We can do that. We can put that as a condition. So I would like to put that as a condition, make an amendment to add a condition that the stub out got removed and was stay as open space, just in case of future stuff. I'm going to make a motion for that. To remove the stub out to Sugar Tree Lane and make as a condition that stayed as open space on the FMDP. So
the easement would remain, but the easement would remain, but the pavement.
Yeah, the easement would remain, but we keep that as open space, but we get rid of the stub out.
Motion by Councilman Juvance to remove the paved portion of the easement, stub out towards Sugar Tree, second by Councilman Allison. Are there questions or discussion on that? Everybody clear what that translates into? Okay, all in favor of that amendment to the approval, I guess? Yeah. That termed right? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, that amendment does pass unanimously. It takes us back to first reading now with that condition added to it. Any other comments, questions, discussions on that? Okay.
That did include that the easement will stay there, just the
Yes.
asphalt when I go there.
Yes.
Okay.
Chris, I've already made my intentions, but I didn't know if it's appropriate to invite any representative if they wanted to answer any of the concerns, or Is that necessary?
They were, I mean, certainly if there were questions or whatever for them, I believe I saw at least one of them in the audience. Is there anything you feel like you want to add to this, or?
One thing I'm interested is just, even though I've already commented on it, is for the sake of the people here, is some of the buffer zones, that some of their intentions on that, because I was real pleased with their intent.
Motion to suspend the rules?
Second.
Motion and second to suspend the rules. Welcome a representative from the project here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Mr. Cook? That is you, yeah, okay, now I can, I'm sure. I wasn't sure for a little bit.
Good evening, folks. Marty Cook, Spencer Feinbaum, McAllister. Appreciate y'all considering this item tonight. To Mr. Allison's point, and I know the mayor mentioned this last week at the work session, for those residents of the county in Sugar Tree that had concerns about the trees staying and the buffer, we have, if anyone is interested, you all or any of those residents, I actually asked the engineers to do an overlay that would show the existing tree buffers that would remain, where the additional buffers would go, and the distances from any of those homes in the county on Sugar Tree from their homes to the setback of the rear of the new lots in the new subdivision. And I think the closest one was almost 300 feet. Many of them were much more than that. So when you consider the tree line that's already there, the buffers, landscape buffers that will be added, and that distance, we feel like that they'll be well insulated from this. And as the mayor said, the road is a condition. That's something that we talked with the planning department about how the timing of that condition between the last meeting and now, but we're fine with that. So I don't think there's any other issues, but happy to answer any questions you may have. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Councillor. Last week we talked about the property was going to be, when you enter the Twin Ponds, was going to be on the left side of the amenity center to expand the buffer yard there. Did you guys had a chance to look into that, and can you do something for us?
We have, and we're willing to consider something. I actually spoke to one of the residents on that side today who had somewhat of a concern about that and wanted to see if we potentially could move that amenity center down a little bit. And I think we're willing to look at that and consider that, certainly.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. We have one amendment on this item. It's item number 10. It's first reading on ordinance 02410-62. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Does pass first reading unanimously. Moving now to number 11, which is first reading on ordinance 02410-63. Councilman Fan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, zoning 106.91 plus or minus acres, not zoned to the R8 PRD, medium density residential planned residential district, and red zone 26.65 plus or minus acres from the R40 low density residential district, to the R8 PRD, medium density residential planned residential development district with a preliminary master development plan for Kirkpatrick Gallatin, located south of Nichols Lane and west of Woods Ferry Road, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date, zone 2024-105, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fan, second by Councilman Hayes. Opening the floor for discussion.
So I'd like to discuss this. You know, at the work session, I did have some concerns, and I needed to do some more research. Since that time, I've been out to that area, and there are some things about this that I think are good for the city long term. I know the city's already worked with the people of Nichols Circle to make sure that there was no access, and I think that's a positive. I'm also very, very happy that there's a 25-foot buffer zone between the Nichols Circle property line and the beginning of this. And then I also just want to acknowledge that as is a positive when a builder or developer builds a road for the city, and if I remember correctly, this is 3,500 feet of road, which could be really great for our future. The part that I wish I would have emphasized during the work study, and it's just really surprised me, is my perception of the quality of homes by the renderings. And I don't know if we may not have access to those tonight, but I brought these with me, and I want to give attention, and if it's okay, if it's appropriate to pass it to the council, even though they all had access to this before, but especially number 20. I see that as our city's developing, that we definitely, when we see areas that have a higher density, we want to make sure that those areas are appreciating in value, and so they're going to bring up the value of long-term landowners. And this seems so out of character to everything that has been built in recent years, or many years, honestly. The vinyl, of course, we know that often we do make adjustments to the 70% masonry requirement because of the variety of aesthetics that can, in special cases, add character to our city. But I know, in my opinion, what I'm passing around, which we all had access to before, does not fall into the character of our city. And just based off seeing how neighborhoods develop from those renderings, it just seems like 10, 20, 30 years from now, those may not be the quality that we want. I'm mindful, I appreciate what the mayor said earlier and I'm being careful not to demean anyone else's home. Right, nobody lives in those homes. And while there is, subjective desires of what we want in our homes, I feel like we've all seen enough developments in Gallatin, what appreciates and what does not appreciate. And so I think we need to take a good look at this again, and if there's a way to send it back to zoning, I would be for that. I'm not sure exactly where to go from here.
Planning on the materials.
And like I said,
now, I don't see, I will disagree with you in that I think all property in Gallatin is appreciated in recent years.
Well, that is a fact. Yes.
But I also will agree with you that some of those homes are ugly.
Yeah.
None of them are vinyl. I mean, it would all be masonry or brick. But some are just real ugly and one-dimensional, and I
20
don't
and
think
23.
Huh?
20 and 23 especially.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think, this is the preliminary master development plan, and I think as we go through the process that they would hear our concerns. And I do agree that as much as we need affordable housing, those intermediate homes are really important because, as the housing forecasters will explain, that is your step-up home, which then frees the entry-level homes. So they're just as important as those starter homes are.
Yes, and if I remember correctly, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, the Nickel West development, if I'm understanding correctly, they were $700,000 homes and up, and so obviously that's
There's a span.
a span of that. But obviously, you've already heard my concern, and I want to open up to the rest of the council.
Here tonight from a representative from that project tonight. Councilman Fan.
I agree with what he said, especially on these two here, but all we've preached is affordability ever since I've been on this council. I'd like to know what the price range is in these.
Well, remember, everybody's always really cautious to give you a price range because the price range. But the price now is not going to be what the price is in a couple of years when they're built. I always use the villas as an example when they told me they were going to sell those for $650 to $700, and I think the lowest it's sold has been $850, and most of them have been over $1 million. So you just don't know until you see where the market is on stuff. But do you agree with us that we don't love
Motion
Oh, sorry, motion to suspend the rules. Thank you, Councilman Carter. Second, Councilman Javons, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Josh Rowland with Kimley Horn, representing Meritage Homes. I think it's important to point out that some of the elevations there tonight don't reflect all of the conditions that we've agreed to, one being that all elevations will have the 36-inch water table on all sides, and that the in-block homes will have a 70%, it'll meet the base requirement in the ordinance. So, you know, when you see more of the home that's on the end of a block where you can see the front and the side and the rear more, so those will have that full 70% masonry wrap. As was kind of discussed, I think it's also important to point out that builders, you know, seek to achieve a range of product within a neighborhood. And so, you know, I think the elevations that you point out that are you know, maybe not as attractive as some of the larger elevations.
Some of the larger homes are really nice.
Right. Those are that kind of first-time move-up buyer. You know, we've got 2 different ranges, actually 3 now, because we added a larger product based on recommendations from the Planning Commission. We now have a 42-foot wide lot, a 52-foot wide lot, and a 75-foot wide lot. So we have that first-time move-up, kind of second move-up, and a more of a luxury type home in this plan. And it provides options for buyers. And we're, as Mayor Brown mentioned, you know, this is the preliminary master development plan process. If there are, you know, 1 or 2 elevations that are just, you know.
They don't like 20.
Yeah.
I agree.
We can,
23.
we can strike one of those, and we're happy to hear directly about that. So we're here to listen tonight. We appreciate the comments.
Those definitely don't look like step-up homes. Those,
And I think these would be, the one page you were looking at was more the entry, then there was another page with the,
No, out of all the years I've been here, that's the worst set of.
not all of them.
Pretty much, yeah, I think so.
No.
I think it's safe.
I'm not saying all of them, I'm saying it's smaller
23,
homes.
And we can go from there.
Go look at the cat person development. What was the name of that?
Let's not speak about people's homes.
No, but they're building them right now. It looks like monopoly stuff. And we talk about charm, nothing against you. Actually, I'm actually going the opposite way because I think that shows something different, that everything we have, yeah, it's square, but that shows it something different, but I'm not going to live there, so I don't, but yeah, again, we're losing the charm of what we're doing, and the lot should be bigger, but you're doing what you have on the zoning and what's done around it, so it's not your fault.
And, you know, it's also important to point out that there are a wide range of color palettes, and, you know, if we want to talk about maybe some additional masonry on the fronts of some of the smaller homes, I mean, we're here to deliver a quality community to the city and provide a range of housing product, and so we're certainly open to listening to.
Character and dimension
and the roof line.
texture goes a long way.
Well, yeah, like I've been,
That roof is not very appealing. We want it to match the character of what's already been approved and what's already there.
Well, we're going to start by taking those options off the table that you've mentioned tonight, and we'll also improve some of the aesthetics of the others.
Will you have a more defined plan for this before the second reading?
For the master development plan, they will.
We can provide whatever is asked of us. I think it's you know, the final master development plan is the time when the architects have had the time to really go in and do that. So if there's, like, if you want to strike a certain elevation, or if you want to, you know, make any specific requests about, you know, materials, we would certainly be open to those.
yeah, you know, I'd like to say,
Planning, but
this is such an important part of our city, and as I acknowledged earlier, having, you know, your development build the road has some great advantages to us. I would think that with a company of your size, is there a different product line that can be worked with and still, you know, fit within our standards? Is there other pathways for that, perhaps, other options?
Color renderings would probably be helpful too.
Yes, I think we need to share some additional color renderings because, you know, there are some of those smaller project elevations that are more attractive than others. And if there are some that just need to be taken out of the mix so that we can use, you know, a smaller sampling of some of the better looking elevations, I think that's probably the best way to start.
Well, thank you so much. And you know, I have hesitations beyond color line, but I'll just say this, that at this point too, because of my inexperience on the council, though I brought this up, the best pathway forward to keep the momentum, but to get us the quality, I'm going to lean on other experienced council persons here to make a proposal, so to speak, our motion.
Sir, can you tell me your name again?
Now, what's your
Josh Rowland.
Oh, okay.
And I think he's right. I think if he comes back with coloring renderings, drop the two that y'all said, 20 and 23, what?
Yeah.
And, you know, make the roof lines a little bit, you know, a little more pitched. But, you know, and I don't think there's any siding on those anyway, right? It's all hardy board, brick,
Oh,
stone.
yeah, there's absolutely no vinyl. This is
Okay.
hardy and brick and stone.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my advice would be that it would, if it passes first reading, that it would benefit your project to come back with a compelling reason for the council to pass it on second reading.
Okay.
That's my unsolicited advice.
We'll be back with some much more compelling renderings for second reading.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else before
Can you remind us,
Councilman Javance?
Go ahead, ma'am.
I just was going to ask if you could remind us of how many homes were proposed?
90s.
It says right there.
No, 78?
78 right
No.
now. Yeah, its numbers changed. It's gone down throughout the hearings here, but, and, you know, the planning department and the planning commission did limit the number of those smaller homes that we could build. We had originally requested more of those. And so now it's about 36% of the overall development. And they are kind of tucked back a little more so. We've put some of the larger homes closer to the main street and some of the alley product too, so that you're seeing less garages as well. So I think, you know, we continue to improve as we've gone through the process here. And we seek to make it something you all can be proud of.
Councilman Javance?
Thank you, Mayor. A question I have too, but it's probably more to planning, is that, or maybe you can answer that, how many phases you have and how's going to be on connectivity to roadways? Because when I look at your plan, it's a lot of houses on the compact side, but if that's your phases, we're going to be on a situation where we're going to have more houses and not enough exit. If I'm remembering our city attorney telling us that the city has been put on notice for that. So I see a lot of units with, I don't know how you're going to do it, Are you going to build the extension first and build on that? Or are you going to go, I would like to know what your phases are to be able to, because again, I don't see how you're gonna make the two connection at one point with required by units.
I have a presentation with a slide, but maybe before we bother with opening that up, I'll point out that that is a specific condition from engineering about when, I think is it 30
yeah.
lots that we have to.
Probably 30, though.
There are 3 connection points potentially out of this project, actually 4, both ends of the collector road, and then Woods Ferry, I think it's Woods Crossing subdivision is to the east. They're currently under construction, and when our community comes online, it actually allows them to finish the west end and provide one connection. So that'll probably be the earliest second connection that we provide. I think it's phase 3 that our completion of the collector road is planned for. So we're going to start in the north and move first phase, second phase, and as we get into the third, we'll complete the connection. It also assumes that the Lock 4 subdivision is that far along as well in their development. I think the east side of Lock 4 is in later phases as well. So we'll be focused on the connection to the north first, and then a connection to the east over to Woods Ferry.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Thank you so much. This is first reading on ordinance 02410-63. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, I had 5-2. Passes 5-2. Councilman Allison and Councilman Juvance voting against. Item number 12 is first reading on ordinance 02410-64. Councilman Carter, I know you can't wait to present this.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $421,770 from the general fund unassigned fund balance to the Clearview Park Improvement Project, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Carter, second by Councilman Hayes. Questions, discussion, jubilation. Okay, this is first reading on ordinance.
Councilman Juvance.
Oh, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to vote yes because that's needed, and we promise, that was a promise made to the citizen of your district, but I think we need to figure a way to change how we do things, because we can't afford to, on every project, to come back and ask for more money and more money and more money. So there's probably a way. I remember working on the private sector. If I'd come after running a project and come to my chairman asking for 25 or 30 or 35% more money, I would have been fired on the spot. And I know it's, we need to be careful how we do stuff, so we don't have to do that and come back asking for more money. That should be planned in advance, even if there is inflation, but that's
Well, there's definitely inflation, and I think when we had that many bidders and it was that much over cost over that period of time, we're talking all about inflation, which has to do with supply chain, has to do with national debt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. None of us like it, and there are areas where we come under budget, so some things, sometimes things, we're not perfect budgeters is probably the biggest thing. But anyway, this is first reading on ordinance 02410-64. Do appreciate your comments about our failures, though. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. Item 13 is resolution R2410-80. Councilman Allison.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution providing City of Gallatin employees with up to 8 hours of leave with pay to facilitate a day of service to directly benefit residents of Sumner County. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Allison, second by Vice Mayor Love. Thank you, Ms. Kenjimmy, for thinking this was a great idea for our employees, and we hope many would take advantage if it passes. Questions? Okay. This is resolution R2410-80. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Does pass unanimously. Item 13, resolution R2410-81. Councilman Fennell.
This is a resolution allowing the mayor to sign the First Amendment to Project Phoenix Memorandum of Understanding. Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Fennell.
Second.
Second by Councilman Carter. Opening the floor for any discussion. Councilman Juvance.
Thank you, Mayor. Like I said in the last meeting, I'm going to vote no because contract was made. We should stick to the contract. When that was presented to us initially 6 months ago, said that the city hall was at the end of his life and was removed. But the last council, we say we're looking at keeping the city hall, so I'm kind of confused on that. And the minor thing we're talking about ball is the hotel issue. and I don't think that's a minor thing. That's one of the main points of the agreement. If they can find an hotel, what's going to happen? But if you look at what got approved, we had plenty of hotels planned to be there, and they're not happening. We're 2, 1 year lows, which hasn't popped from the ground yet. I don't know why. There were 2 on Greenlee, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. They're not there, so I can't. I don't think the hotel is going to happen, but so I will be voting no on that. I think we have a contract. We need to stick to it.
Well, again, we failed on that. Ms. Bates explained the circumstances, and trying really hard to keep up with where we are. Any other comments or questions? All right, this is Resolution R2410-81. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no.
No.
Passes 6-1. Okay, at this time, we are at the end of the agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have to have an executive session this evening. It will be short.
We can do it at the conclusion of this meeting.
Actually, Ms. Hamacali says we can do it at the conclusion of this meeting. So we won't hold you any longer than we have to. So then we will move to other business. I would ask this body if anyone has any other business this evening. Councilman Allison.
Yes, this is just a question for you and the council. When there is a presidential election, it falls on a council night. What has been the practice in the past, and what is being considered?
Thank you for bringing that up. I'd made a note and totally forgot. We have always had meetings. Meetings start at 6 o'clock, polls close at 7. Returns don't generally start coming in till 8, usually quite a bit later. We've had some really contentious meetings on election night, and we've had some that were nothing. So it, whenever you're on the ballot, it really feels strange to be sitting in here while you're wondering what the outcome of the evening is going to be. But that's just kind of the circumstances. I do not know the right thing to do as far as the public hearing that was mentioned earlier this evening.
It hasn't been advertised.
It's not been advertised yet.
I don't know, I'm asking.
Yeah, it's been advertised.
Oh, it has? Okay.
You know, everybody has the opportunity to early vote, and we
Well-
should encourage them to do that.
And also, to that point, not only do they have the opportunity to early vote, they have the opportunity to speak under public hearing or the next council meeting, or the work session between now and then. So there are other opportunities where they won't be limited to.
I still don't think we should have public hearings because it's 2 big items. It's a big election. People are going to stay at home watching TV. They're going to put the TV as soon as they come back from work and see what's going on. And even if it has been advertised, we can advertise again and change the date. That has been done before.
I think we've already advertised it, and so
It
people,
has been done before.
I don't recall. Ms. Hamacali says that it's advertised, we have to do it.
We've done it this way forever, right?
Yeah.
I'm for leaving it like it is.
We had
Just because we've always done it that way doesn't mean it's the right way.
Well,
But
I
I
agree
think we
with you.
need to have more forethought in the future.
We had postponed stuff was already advertised for public hearing, and by postpone, we did that with Log4. We postponed how many times? That was already advertised, and every time they advertise again for the new date. So that can be done. I just don't think.
The only time I recall postponing is when we actually failed to advertise. That's my only recollection. But
I don't do the advertising, so I don't know how.
No, but what I mean is that on Log4, I remember we postponed several times because people were absent, and that was already advertised because they advertised as soon.
postpone.
Public hearing.
It wasn't the public hearing, it was the vote.
Yeah, but the public hearing got postponed because I was already advertised, so they had to postpone the public
Maybe
hearing.
so, but that was because we were delaying first reading and it couldn't happen until
Yeah,
after.
so, but that doesn't matter. If we do it for that, we can do it for.
I can discuss this with Mr. Rose, and I can determine if we've done that before and what our process has been. I don't recall that happening, but I suppose there's a way that it. Okay. Or y'all can take a vote on it.
What is it?
Whatever you want
Let
to
her
do.
explore it, see what.
What is
I
it?
mean, I will explore it if council
We
wants
don't
me
want
to.
to do it
There's,
after her initial
But what I'm saying is there's no sense in her exploring it if we're not going to.
But she said it can't be done, it's already been advertised, was the first thing she said. So
No, I said
don't-
I don't know if it's been advertised.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what
and
I
then
was
she-
saying to
And then
you.
when they said it has been advertised, then you said we can't change it then. And so that's what,
I don't think I said, if I said that, that's not what I meant. I don't think I said that.
that's what I was going off of. I mean, just now, so.
If it's been advertised, there would have to be a process to pull that back and to change it. I don't know if we've done that before. Mr. Rose is saying he doesn't know if it's been done before either. There might be a process. It would be confusing to the public if they're already expecting to be here on a certain date. We would probably have to advertise that it's postponed and then re-advertise. We'll do whatever this council wants us to do.
Well, again, I mean, I feel like they can comment on public hearing or on the second reading, so it's not like there's not another opportunity to comment.
I do think something has occurred in the past, and I don't know if it was with that or something else. We went ahead and had a public hearing. I think that may be what you're remembering.
Had another one.
Because we had already advertised it, and then we had because things got postponed, we had another public hearing. I don't recall ever pulling a public hearing in the past. Do you remember, Mr. Rose, ever pulling a public hearing since you've been here?
I don't think that was in his time.
I think we're kind of talking about the same thing as, for example, postponing something because it's fall break and people might be out of town or whatever. We've got there's more than one opportunity for people to speak. They can early vote, they're that invested in this, I think they would be here.
I would be more in favor of changing it if it wasn't a candidate that brought it forward.
For the record, I just brought a question forward. I made no proposal.
Well, we had two to do.
I don't think he was speaking of you, but I don't actually feel that way. I just think maybe they might be more aware of when the election date was because, when you put these things on the agenda, they're not comparing it against the election calendar, so.
My intent for the question is just in finding out information as a city government, we want people to vote. And, if someone does propose this, I'm going to abstain because there's a conflict of interest in voting. But I just think that it's worth the discussion because we have time.
Well, and I appreciate you bringing that up because I totally forgot about it. I wanted to ask. So, where we at, folks?
I say we leave it.
A motion? We don't need a motion, that's where it is.
Motion to leave it. No,
We don't need a motion for that.
It has to be no motion.
Okay, well, I feel like we're going to drop this. We have a work session next week if we feel like we want to offer a second opportunity at some point or whatever, but I see some department heads wanting this night to be over. Anyone else with other business this evening? Councilman Carter.
Hey, everybody, just wanted to let you guys know that I will be hosting Trunk or Treat again this year on Halloween Day from 6 to 9, and I'll have more information with the location coming soon.
We're not necessarily the same location as yours past.
No, not the same location.
We will wait excitedly.
That's right.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll now go to public recognition on non-agenda related items. This is when you come forward and speak to items that aren't on this evening's agenda.
Mayor, City Council, men and women. If I may bring some attention back to the St. Blaise.
Name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Eric
And-
Schaefer.
And I hate to tell you this, but this is for items that were not on the agenda. So
Oh, okay.
If it's relevant to the development that we discussed earlier, you can bring it up at a future meeting. If it's something specific about St. Blaise,
Right.
it would not be on the agenda, so
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
trying
it's,
to help you here.
I got you. All right. I guess it's relative to the development because of where the situation on the south side of where St. Blaise is located. So can I continue?
Make a motion to let him talk.
Okay, motion to,
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
I apologize, I came in a little.
No, I get it.
I don't wanna keep you guys
people,
here.
people that aren't, as I call them, frequent flyers at this meeting, it's confusing, so that's
I
why.
understand.
So I have motion and a second. I'll let you go ahead and address your concerns. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
I appreciate
Name
it.
and address for the record.
Eric Schaefer, 1022 Brighton Lane, St. Blaise Retreat neighborhood. As you know, the property is on the south side of the Twin Ponds development that shares that property line. I live on Brighton Lane, which my property line directly abuts the Twin Lakes development. I'm all for growth and understand real estate development, but the growth obviously needs to be done right and be conducive to the surrounding areas. So my concerns mainly are the Bison Trail extension directly behind. There's about a dozen homes that paid premiums for wooded lots. And of course, their concerns are some of the concerns would be the noise, traffic noise, road noise, reduction, and because of them being out of pocket for these wooded lots. And so the Bison Trail extension, obviously, potentially connecting to the St. Blaise Road and Court is also an additional concern. And I just wanted to bring light relative to the St. Blaise retreat. There was also discussion of potentially taking down these old growth trees and doing a replant, which would take decades to grow and be an equivalent to the existing wooded area. And so those are some of the concerns, and really what we're proposing as a community would be the preservation of the creek and the old growth trees that are abutting this property on the south side, so that there's a larger buffer and easement if there is road infrastructure put in place for the extension of Bison Trail. And just hoping that you consider these concerns, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Were you here earlier this evening when they actually discussed the project?
I came in a little late, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think there's probably some information that can be helpful to you.
Okay.
Through our planning department and engineering department.
Okay,
But
thank you very
I
much.
think what you said was very similar to what was said earlier by someone else, and so
Okay.
appreciate you sharing your concern.
I just wanted to, I know we talked a lot about, was it Sugar Tree, the other community? So I just want to make sure St. Blaise got some focus on us as well.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to speak this evening under public comment on non-agenda related items?
Rosemary Bates, Gallatin EDA, which is why I'm speaking tonight. The mayor mentioned the Stoll event. Just to share with you, they had 28 pilots last year. They had 41 this year. They sold out of food and some of their vendors.
Like early.
And last year and this year again, the National Stoll group was just overwhelmed with how welcoming Gallatin is, what a great event that the group did, which is the nonprofit that actually collects the money, and then at the Music City Executive Airport. So there were glowing comments. They love coming here, and we want them certainly to keep coming and possibly have even a bigger event at some point. But it went beyond just, we had a great event. They love how Gallatin has received them and treated them, and that globally we have put on an excellent event. So everybody needs to be thanked for that.
Yeah, I mean, the organizers truly did a beautiful job this year with the addition of the stage and the music. The National Stoll director, and I should have mentioned this earlier, actually got to meet her this year. I don't think I did last year. She said to me, "We hope you'll let us come back every year." And I'm thinking, we hope you will come back every year, because we want to grow it with you. So it was pretty cool.
Thank you, everybody.
Anyone else? We know you.
Albert Michael Clark, 923 South Westland Avenue here in gracious growing Gallatin, Tennessee. First of all, Mayor, it's good to hear your lovely voice since you went about a month with
Has not been that long.
But I want to give a different perspective. I sit here week from week to week from week, and the mayor already spoke about it earlier. I live in an apartment. 2019, I had 2 back-to-back strokes. The second stroke was worse than the first stroke. Single parent of 4 sons, took care of my mother with Alzheimer's and dementia until she took her last breath. I stood by her side. Since 2019, God blessed me to receive my master's degree in theology. And for someone to, because they have a house instead of an apartment, to think that they're better than someone or belittle someone. Thank God for the house that you live in, the property that you have. We all sat here and heard a young lady a couple of weeks ago explaining about the refugees in this city. I think she spoke better English than most of us in here put together. And
She was raised here.
Right. Well, she was raised here, but because of the difference in her culture, people perceived something else about her, but she talked very eloquently and explained. There are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of people right now that are believing God just to stay in the FEMA trailer because their houses were destroyed. There's tens of thousands of refugees because of war and destruction that is looking for a place to stay. Let's be thankful for whatever we have. And if you have ever helped someone or ministered to someone that is homeless for a variety of different reasons, whatever they live in, especially as this winter comes, is more than a privilege and an honor. And I'll give you a short message from Job, the 1st chapter. Job accumulated and had more substance and increased than everybody in this room put together. And one day, he lost it all. And it wasn't because he did anything wrong. God bless you all.
Clark. Anyone else wishing to speak this evening? Seeing no one, we will adjourn this meeting. And we can adjourn and go to executive session. Motion?
Motion adjourned.
Motion?
Second.
Second by Councilman Carter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time tonight. Have a good week. Do something kind for someone. God's blessings to each of you. Good night.
I'll turn my camera on.